What is up, my dashing dudes? I am the Hans TV, and I hope that y'all are ready to see some of the most entitlement in people that you have ever seen. It's time for r/entitled people. Our first post for the day comes from Tamor622498, annoying lady at local library. I was doing random errands and stopped by my local library to see if they had a book I needed. I couldn't find it on the shelf, so I start waiting in line for the librarian's desk to see if they could place a hold on the book for me. My turn comes up and I start asking about the book. Then this random lady suddenly comes up and says, "I have a question," in the most entitled voice I've ever heard. The librarian quickly says, "I'm helping someone at the moment," gesturing to me. I thought that would be the end of it, but the lady ignores me and says, "Please, it's just a quick question." Like a little kid, this lady is probably 50 or 60 years old and starts hitting her hand on the desk. The librarian gives me a look of, "This is what I have to deal with," and asks the lady what her question is. I already don't like this lady, but really start hating her after her question. She says, "Are phones allowed to be used in the computer area?" The librarian says, "Yes, phones can be used anywhere, as long as they aren't causing too much of a disturbance." The lady turns around, says a loud grunt, and stomps away. The librarian apologizes to me, helps me with the book. I've rarely met someone so entitled. How can a person be that old and not know basic social graces? Our next post comes from I'm an Ostrich. Entitled school bus driver refuses to let me off the bus. It was the end of the day at school, and I was getting on the bus. I sat down and started waiting for my stop. More than 20 minutes passed, and everyone else was off the bus. I told the bus driver that they missed my stop, but the bus driver would not listen to me, and they said that I had been sleeping the entire time. I replied, "If I was sleeping the entire time, then how do I remember the past 20 minutes? That's when my mom called me and asked why I wasn't home. Before I could answer, the bus driver took my phone and told my mom that I have been abusing her. I took my phone back and told my mom that I did not abuse her, and she just won't let me off at my stop. After a couple minutes of me arguing, the driver left me off at my stop, and I went home." I don't feel this belongs in r/entitled people as much as it belongs in something like if there was a subreddit called like r/ass or r/bitch. Our next post comes from Vote Dog. Neighbor steals cable for 2 years, goes off when we report him. Once upon a time, we rented a unit in a duplex. The second unit rented out to a single man, not long after we moved in. The man came over to introduce himself and right away began to ask about our TV cable. FYI, this was over 20 years ago. Who we used, what channels we had, how much we paid, etc. Finally, he flat out asked if he could hook up to our account since we were already paying for it. We were a bit shocked by this since we'd only known him a total of 4 minutes, so we told him no. If he wanted his own, he should pay for it. He suddenly became very unfriendly and left without saying goodbye. We lived next to that asshole for 2 years. Then one day we started having cable problems. We had the company come out and noticed the technician talking to our neighbor. He finally came to tell us that he had fixed the problem, but wanted us to know that our neighbor had illegally connected to our cable. We had no idea. Apparently the dick had signed up for cable when he moved in, but he offered the installer cash just to connect to ours. The installer took it, and unbeknownst to us, he'd been using our cable for free for years. I instantly called the cable company to get him off of our account. I was promised a technician would be out the next day to disconnect him. She swore up and down it would be shown as a random check. The neighbor would not know I was the one who had reported him. Sure enough, 7 a.m. the next day, someone from the cable company was there and gone. We waited for the neighbor to realize, and it didn't take long. Around 9 a.m., he was banging on our door, and I opened it up to find him looking murderous. "Asshole, you called the cable company on me. I have no cable now." Seeing how angry he was, I decided to play dumb to try and avoid a crazy confrontation. "What? I have no idea what you're talking about." "Don't lie to me. I just called them and they said they came out for a random check, but when I asked why, they said it was because you reported me." Fuck. So much for that. Oh, that. Yeah. F you. You've been stealing from us for 2 years. If anything, we should be angry and demand that you refund some of the money we've paid so you can enjoy TV. "Why should I pay you for something you use? I'm just piggybacking. It didn't cost you a dime extra. They won't let me sign up for an account now. What am I supposed to do? You f***ed me by only caring about money." Me trying not to smile now as I was truly giddy to hear that. You're blaming us? You f***ed yourself by stealing. I'm glad to hear they won't let you have an account. You don't deserve to have one if you can't pay for it like the rest of the world. Why are you so greedy? If you already pay for it, what's wrong with someone else using it? It's not costing you anything extra. I have to work to have money to pay for cable. I do not work so you can have it. You need to call them. Tell them it was a huge misunderstanding and that I need my account now. Ha! Not gonna happen. If anything, I'd call to make sure they fire the guy who took your money so you get to legally suck off us for years. Throws his arms up in the air in total frustration. You are such a... I slammed the door in his face. He yelled for a while, kicked the door a few times, and finally left. As he walked back to his place, I could hear him kicking the fence we share between us. I called my wife to tell her about his reaction and to be wary of him when she got home. Good thing I did too, because he waited by the garage for her that night and approached her like an old friend. He was all smiles, asked about her day, complimented her on her outfit. It was super weird. Before he could even bring the cable up, she looked him dead in the face and called him on his bullshit. I know what happened this morning. If you come near my family again, I will be calling the police. You stole from us and the cable company. Period. Nothing you say will change that. Ass finally dropped his friendly act and began to call her a selfish bitch. He followed her to the house and continued even after she closed the door. Needless to say, not long after that, we looked for a new place to live. I'll never forget it. What a douche. Our final post for the day comes from Hijabi Cat Lover. Entitled woman in a Facebook group believes no one is allowed to disagree with her because she is a cancer survivor and gets me banned from the group. First time poster, English is my first language, and I wrote this on mobile. Sorry for the long post. I'm an American female, and about 6 years ago, I was living in a major city in the Middle East as an expat. While I was living there, I was briefly a part of an expat women's group on Facebook. The intention of the group was to help other expats and answer any questions they had about living there. However, it was full catty women who constantly started drama and fights. The worst of them all was M. M was a middle-aged British woman who wasn't very bright. She was in the process of moving to the country to marry a man who she met while she was on vacation. M was a cancer survivor and would constantly remind everyone of that. M was actively involved in a lot of these arguments. However, she got incredibly upset and offended anytime anyone disagreed with her, and would always bring up the fact that she survived cancer whenever someone stated an opinion different from hers. She was also close friends with the group admins who always defended her. The last straw was a discussion about people who pay large amounts of money for experimental treatments. I commented that if I was terminally ill and had the money, I would be completely willing to pay for an expensive treatment to give me a chance at survival. This didn't sit well with M. M immediately responded with, "How dare you say that you would pay for an experimental treatment when I had cancer? I had to use the NHS, British Public Insurance, because that's all I could afford." That was it. I told her that I was sick and tired of her playing the cancer card in every conversation, and her belief in the fact that she survived cancer meant others were not allowed to disagree. I also have the right to an opinion, and please respect that because I respected your right to have yours all this time. M immediately whined and reported me to her admin friends because I dared call her out on her entitlement, and I got banned from the group. Entitlement because you survived a disease. Sounds about right. Well, alright my dashing dudes, that is going to do it for today's episode of r/EntitledPeople. I hope you liked the stories. If you did, I'll link them down in the description as always. And if you liked the video, feel free to drop a like, a sub, and a comment down below with what you'd like to see me read next. A huge thank you to my patron, Connor, and to everyone who's subscribed to me in the past few months. I can't thank y'all enough for how much support that y'all give me. It really makes me feel great about doing these videos for you, and makes me want to keep on putting out more and more. But with that being said, I will see you in the next video.